Greetings, everybody. This week's review will be Bear from Our Horses, starring Toby Keith, Rodney Carrington, alongside supporting supporting characters like Tom Skerritt, Ted Nugent as Skunk, Barry Corbin, Claire Forlani, Gina Gershon, Willie Nelson, and cameos by Mel Tillis and the late Matt McDavis, who just passed away on yesterday at the age of 78, and this is a tribute to him. Man, I would say old Mac had probably one of the funniest scenes in this movie where he's playing the preacher and he's taunting Rodney Carrington who's sleeping in church and he's saying, "Oh, God says you need to wake up," and then jab at Toby's character Rack Racklin that who had a who had earlier began one playing his ex who dumped by his ex, played by when it appeared by Gina Gershon, just getting dumped and runs over his lawnmower. I gotta say, this has got to be the funniest of Rodney Carrington's film portrayals well, of them being clean, of ones that require them to be clean anyway, as far as PG-13 standards are, because his Rodney stand-ups, ooh, he's the dirty version of Blue Collar. I mean, the dirty redneck, I'll tell you what. Man. But he actually did a good job of this as Lonnie Luther Freeman, his character, and that been on the soundtrack where he had his infamous "Showed Him to Me" song right before he crashes his jacked up Ford, which I always kind of thought was like the dumbest thing. Even for a TV movie, they could have at least, with all that money Toby Keith made from selling pickups, they could have at least had like an epic bullet style chase in that movie. I mean, just kind of like pictured Bullet with kind of like a Ford pickup instead F-150 instead of a Mustang, and kind of like a Ram instead of a Ram or a Camaro instead of or Silverado instead of a Charger. Actually, in a country town like Lincoln, Oklahoma. Well, I'm not sure if that's a real town or not, but or just fictionalized for the movie. But excellent story excellent film of Toby, where Toby Keith and Rodney Carrington as sheriff's deputies, and then having to go on who catch this drug lord, and then of course Toby's character Rack reunites with his childhood high school sweetheart who's in town taking care of her mom, and putting up with putting up with a putting up with a jerk stepdad who was played by Barry Corbin. And spoiler alert, he turned out to be in league with the cartels too, and but and arranged to have his own stepdaughter kidnapped. And that's, for a TV movie, that's kind of just despicable. It just makes a good bad guy for man. And come on, and of course, got to have like ideal how Ted Nugent's character didn't have hardly any speaking roles until like in the movie where he mentions his own brand of moonshine, called it Circus Jolly, with with side performances by Curtis Booger Armstrong as the DA, and man, they always play some shifty jerks in films. I mean, before I even seen Revenge of the Nerds, I always recognized him because he always had that sniveling voice. Man, when it come to which always made him like an underrated actor and all. But excellent story of how Toby's character has to rescue his girl from the cartel, and then funny when meets a local hood named Johnny Franks, who turns out to be an undercover FBI G man on this trail of the same cartel guys that Toby and Rack and Lufer were after. And I was gonna mention another funny scene with Rodney Carrington's character, old singing and old, having an acapella version of shouting in the bathroom, just getting it started while taking a pee. And one of the excellent covers takes on that song, and even this old funny line of pig hunt scene where he's at the beginning of the movie where he says, "The Cracker Oaks guy, you mean the guy who looks like Barbara Bush?" Man, and but for a TV movie, it did have an extra action in when they finally go to Mexico and then had the Toby Skunk and Lufer had the big showdown, and then talking about some kind of like a nod like a la Desperado. Like this concept like that has been like would have been better if it was directed by Rodriguez instead, with Danny Trejo or Benicio del Toro as the villain. But you gotta give it an excellent side characters like David Allan Coe and Willie, who was as carnies and all with Harvey had a Herker. And then, which is kind of surprising. I'm surprised as much as Tom Skerritt's character did a good job as playing the sheriff. Should have been like Willie, because like the video to the song Willie and Toby did in the early 2000s, which I would say one of the best ones of early 2000s country. And I don't really listen to much country after that. But when I say the video is kind of somewhat better than the movie, but the movie had its moments, but what do you expect for a TV movie? And I've seen some hits and misses when it comes to TV movies, which of course will be reviewed later on. Same with Desperado, as I had mentioned. But overall, Beer for My Horses at least gets a 3 out of 5. That's as far as I could go for this. It could have, I mean, like I said, all that all that product placement with Ford and all, they could have at least had an epic chase scene. Although that jacked up blue pickup that Rodney Carrington's character drove throughout the movie was pretty good, and a funny cast of characters with back to Willie Nelson's and the Carnage people with a jittery sharpshooter and a bearded lady cliches, and an excellent cameo of the late great Mel Tillis as Bob the Plumber. And I gotta say, Mel Tillis was the Ozzy Osbourne of country because I don't mean to make fun of the guy, I'm not, but you could always say he was the Ozzy Osbourne of country because spoke a lot more clearer, and they both spoke a lot more clearer in song than they did in interviews and person and all. Kind of like always kind of made old Mel a good picture when he did Hee Haw episodes and all. excellent take on it, and excellent for a TV movie, and closest of best thing Rodney Carrington did, which was semi-clean. Which, unlike that sitcom, sorry Rodney, but that would have been better if it was like on FX or Netflix or something like that. I mean, somewhere you could actually be dirty, be cussing and such. Because, I mean, I love your stand-up, but no disrespect, but you can't do clean that good. But come on, but overall, Beer for More Horses gets a 3 out of 5. Very excellent, and the better of the two Toby Keith movies, TV movies that he did, and which of course could be debatable, of course, and also had like some scenes where the Garza brothers and the like he's taunting the scene where he shows old Claire Forlani's character getting and being and he taunts her with a matching. And he just had that scene with a matching 1911s. So, should I use this one or this one? And I'll say it was kind of one of Barrett Corbin's best performances of a movie. All of being best known for wilderness order exposure and anger management. The Charlie Sheen sitcom, not the Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler film. And of course, the episode of King of the Hill where he was the fire chief. But overall, you need a good laugh. Beer from Our Horses, you could don't disappoint in a good but not great take on it. But hey, like, subscribe, enjoy, and leave some recommendations in the comments, and I might watch and review them.